Hi everybody, Dana Sparks, broker of Maximum One Greater Atlanta Realtors, and today's contract tip has to do with the definition of a day and how that relates to your contracts. So, let's start with what I always teach in CE classes when I'm teaching classes is whenever you have a question about something, the first place to go look to is the contract itself. The contract is a set of instructions for what the parties have agreed to, how to fill out their promises, which is the consideration of the GAR and the RE Forms contract in Georgia. But with respect to a day, what does the contract say? How do we know what a day is? How do we know when contingency timeframes expire? So let's look to the contract for that. And I'm just going to speak to the Georgia Association of Realtors contract, GAR, and the RE Forms contract. If you are binding under another contract form, then you will want to, number one, look to the contract itself for how it defines days, and then we need to look to the Georgia courts for how it defines days, and I'll give you a hint about how to do that, so stay tuned. So, in the GAR contract and the RE Forms contract, whenever you see the word day, it refers to a full day, an entire 24 hours. So, generally speaking, everything starts with everything is timed from the binding agreement date. Now, this gets a little tricky because there is a time limit that includes an hour and a date, and the binding agreement date has a fill in the blank for a time and a date. However, the rest of the contingency timeframes only have a day. So let's say, for example, that the binding agreement date is 4 p.m. on Wednesday, October 13th. And let's say there is a 10-day due diligence time frame. The 10-day due diligence time frame goes through 11:59 p.m., 10 days from October the 13th. So the day the parties go binding is day 0 for counting purposes. So even though we go binding, let's say we go binding at 4 o'clock on Wednesday the 13th, then 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. But that due diligence time frame does not end at 4 p.m. on October 23rd. It ends at 11:59 p.m. on October 23rd. How do I know that? I'll tell you in a minute. Now, what about if the contract says a banking day or a business day? Well, those can be two different things. A banking day is when a bank is open for business. And so generally speaking, that is Monday through Friday, not Saturday, not Sunday, and not a federal holiday. So you're thinking, well, Dana, I go to the bank on Saturday. Saturday is a banking day. No. Banks are open, some, not all, but many banks are open for consumer convenience on Saturdays, but that is not considered a banking day. And then a lot of times we'll see a business day. Well, what's a business day? Well, it kind of depends on the business. There are some observed federal holidays that might not be a banking day, but it could be a business day. Many businesses are open on the majority of federal holidays. For example, Veterans Day, Columbus Day. Those are recognized as federal banking days. In other words, the banks are closed. There's no money changing hands, no lending occurring on the national market, but many businesses are open. So there could be a discrepancy between what is meant by a business day and what is meant by a banking day. So again, as I said, let's look to the purchase and sale agreement. Let's look to the contract for the instructions. So In the GAR Purchase and Sale Agreement, the Georgia Association of Realtors Purchase and Sale Agreement, which is Form F201, and these definitions are carried throughout the whole contract package. Under paragraph C5, it does have definitions. And 5A, a banking day. A banking day shall mean a day on which a bank is open to the public for carrying out substantially all of its banking functions. For purposes herein, a banking day shall mean Monday through Friday, excluding federal holidays. Furthermore, the GAR contract defines a business day in that same paragraph C5, subparagraph D, business day. A business day shall mean a day on which substantially all businesses are open for business. For all purposes herein, a business day shall mean Monday through Friday, excluding federal holidays. So the GAR contract package has defined a business day with a synonymous definition of a banking day, regardless if some businesses are open or not. Now, let's look at the RE Forms contract package. And I'll get back to just a regular day in just a minute. Under the RE contract package, if you look at RE 100, which is the contract for the purchase and sale of real property in Georgia, under, for example, the contingencies section, paragraph 6, it more specifically defines it. It says, for example, the buyer's general right to terminate. This contingency shall expire at 11:59 p.m. on the day that is blank days after the acceptance date. Appraisal contingency. This contingency shall expire at 11:59 p.m. So the RE Forms contract package went in to further elucidate that a day refers to a full 24-hour period. In the RE Forms contract package under the standard terms, which is RE1, it also defines a banking day. In paragraph 12.9.3, the RE Forms package states a banking day is Monday through Friday, excluding federal holidays. So that is all good and well, but where do I get the definition of a day when it just says day to mean a calendar day, the full 24 hours? Well, number one, the RE Forms defines it, and I have a little bit of information that, stay tuned, the GAR contract package more than likely is going to add that definition in the 2022 contract package, where it will define a calendar day specifically to mean the full 24 hours. But let's look to where can we get more information on this? Well, let's look to the Georgia courts. And what do the Georgia courts define as a day? Well, Dana, I'm not an attorney. How do I know that? As a real estate agent, there is a fabulous resource out there, thanks to Seth Weissman of Weissman Law, who is the primary or original, I believe, legal counsel to the Georgia Association of Realtors, who has authored the GAR, Georgia Association of Realtors contracts. So if you look to what is called the Red Book, that Seth has been publishing this for quite a long time, but the 6th edition is out. It is in 2 volumes. This is what it looks like. Go to Weissman's website if you want to purchase this. I'll put a link below. And in this, not only does Seth, and it is also by Ned Blumenthal, not only do they define what a day is with respect to the Georgia Association of Realtors contracts, but there is some further explanation of what the Georgia courts have defined. So it states under Chapter 2.6.1 in Volume 1 of the 6th edition of the Red Book, on Real Estate Contracts in Georgia by Seth Weissman and Ned Blumenthal. It states definition of dates and times. A day means an entire 24-hour day beginning immediately after midnight and ending 24 hours later. And it goes on to say, then it gives an example, which I've already given an example. While the term day is not defined in the GAR contract as of the printing of this 6th edition of the Red Book, there are several sections of the GAR contract that clearly show what is intended. First, the GAR contract goes on to define a banking day and a business day as opposed to a day. The GAR contract will specifically use those terms when it means Monday through Friday, federal holidays accepted. And so if it does not use that term, the implication is a calendar day. So that is the intent when the contract uses the word day in the GAR contracts from the legal counsel to the GAR contracts themselves. Where it comes to Georgia law, that is the Georgia law, again, as referred to in the Red Book under section 2.6.3, meaning of banking day, business day, and legal holiday. A banking day is defined under Georgia law as the part of a day on which bank is open to the public for carrying on substantially all of its banking functions. Therefore, in theory, what constitutes a banking day could vary from one financial institution to another. However, for most banks, Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays are not banking days, even if certain branches are open. The bank is not open to the public for carrying on substantially all of its banking functions. And by comparison, the term business day means Monday through Friday, excluding legal holidays. Legal holidays mean all days which have been designated as of January 1, 1984, as public and legal holidays by the federal government, and all other days designated and proclaimed by the governor of Georgia as public and legal holidays, or as days of fasting and prayer or other religious observance. Since legal holidays other than those recognized by the federal government must be declared by the governor, holidays declared only by a county or a city are still generally considered business days. And then it goes on to say that the GAR contract eliminates any ambiguity with that, with the definitions in the contract itself. So, as I said, you need to look to the contract for the definition in terms of how it is to be used with respect to the contract. Now, there is times that do play an important role in the contract when it comes to the time limit of an offer, and that offer is taken off the table as of that time limit, and that has a specific hour and a date, as I mentioned earlier, as well as there is an amendment that a buyer and seller can sign under the GAR contract package to extend the due diligence time frame, and there is a section in there where that can be extended, where you can specify a specific time. All that being said, in the absence of anything written or agreed upon by the parties as a special stipulation or in an amendment form or pre-printed in the contract, if you see under the GAR contract package and the RE forms contract package, if you see the term day, it means the full 24 hours through 11:59 p.m. at night. If you see the term banking day or business day, look to the definition of that within the contract. Generally speaking, as I mentioned, it means Monday through Friday, federal holidays, not including Saturday, Sunday, and not including federal holidays. I have done a couple of other video tips on the importance of this when terminating a contract, specifically on the day of closing. And a lot of sellers are going into default by terminating a contract on the day of closing before 11:59 p.m. at night. So I'll link that video tip below. And I have also done a video tip on the extension of deadlines with respect to the closing date, and I'll link that below too. Thank you guys so much for watching. Dana Sparks, broker of Maximum One Greater Atlanta Realtors, satisfying your needs with service, innovation, and education.